it goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's like, I feel like what most people want is a more rigorous process to own a gun. And I feel like that's what it should be now with it. I don't think banning all guns is ideal. Because I feel like it's kind of like weed. You ban weed and people are gonna, it makes you want it more. And I feel like that's also a trait that we have as humans where, like, you know, you can't have that thing and you want it.
Right.
You know that no one's allowed to have a gun, so everybody's gonna want a fucking gun just to say that you got it. So I feel like banning them as a whole is just gonna lead to even more, like, shady shit to just own a gun to say that you do.
Yeah.
Let's take what you just said and now let's make it just like the weed situation, right? Weed was like a no forever, and now the laws are, I think, as lenient as ever.
Yeah, they're loosening up.
Like, so the one thing about that though is I've realized from people who smoke weed and things like that, including yourself, that the actual, of course, like the weed that everyone was getting for years, whatever was grown and whatever, right? But now there's this like grade of now,
Synthetic.
like, yeah, like the
synthetic.
government's weed, which is completely like, it's weird, and like people say that it smells different, it like it feels different, it tastes different, all this shit and whatever, right? If you took the same approach with guns, would you be in favor? So I'm basically saying, if all the manufacturers that actually make guns, because there's a lot of them that are private,
Yeah.
they all stopped, and this was like a solution for gun control. The U.S. is like, we're gonna manufacture every gun. We're gonna put barcodes and these little things and these little like biometric or whatever things to where you can only use it in certain situations and things like that or whatever. Would you then be in favor of it if you can still have your gun, knowing that the government controls that weapon?
I'm gonna say no, because if the government controls at any point, they could be like, I'm gonna just switch all the guns off. Like with the biometric stuff, they could be like, I'm gonna switch all the guns off. Nobody could use them. And then if the government's doing like a coup d'état or something, society has like no defense.
I think only society can do a coup d'état,
I thought it was a military thing.
but it's
It's a military taking over the government.
So, but the military is the government.
Right, in this situation, because, yep, I'm not dumb.
A little thing pops up. We'll be right back after this.
Go back, both beat up from the fight. How dare you call me out on the podcast like that?
I'm sorry.
What about you?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think, is it the same? Like, I just don't feel like it's the same situation. Because, like, would you be getting a gun if it's, like, government handed to you and it's not your gun? It's
Right.
the government's gun.
Right.
Where I feel like with weed, it's like, you know when you're going to a dispensary that's not a government-made dispensary. You know, like, you
Right.
know that difference. So you have that option. Where I just don't, I don't know. I don't know.
The
about
only
that.
reason I guess I phrased it that way is because I feel like there are a lot of dispensaries and things like that that are getting shut down because now like marijuana is so legal, and the government is basically saying like, oh no, we'll give it to you. Like, now we don't care. I feel like now there's like the government's gonna try to make a monopoly on it so that the actual dispensaries that do it, they don't exist anymore. So now you just have to go to them to get it, right? I feel like this is the same thing with guns when people say we don't need guns. If you take all the guns away, okay, the government, the military, they have all the weapons now, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I know people like to use the whole, if the military ever tries to take us over, we can't fight and all that shit. Cool, whatever.
Wouldn't have. I mean, we would still lose, but
Right, we would still lose. But I don't give a fuck about that. I take it back to just natural street shit as a minority. Which the last 10 years of my life, everyone's saying, don't fucking trust the police. Like, them niggas not for you. They will not help you. Then you tell me, but give up your weapon. The thing that would protect you in this situation, or at least give you a fighting chance against some shit like that, right? You're telling me give it up, but then you're telling me not to believe in the government, which is the police, because they're a part of the government.
Yeah.
And that's the things where it's like I hate knee jerk reactions to shit like this, because I understand it, because it's like this horrible thing just happened. We don't need this, because I don't want this to happen anymore. But then I take it from a standpoint of, okay, you take away this, what's gonna be, because something's gonna come in place of it. There's nothing that's not, like, people think taking guns just means like, we have no more issues. No, there's still gonna be a whole bunch of issues.
You know, people start carrying knives now. People
Exactly.
start carrying a whole bunch of that everywhere.
Or like what happened in like the 30s with like the whole prohibition.
Yeah.
All the mobsters and shit ran the world because they had all the alcohol. Everything was under the table at that point. You do the same thing with that. That's why I feel like that is like, you know, an amendment. So like, as an American, you have a right to bear arms for that exact situation. But I guess I feel like it's not even for like a government approach today, at least. I think it's just for on the, like I said, the level of you have the right to protect yourself. If you feel like we can't do it for you. I feel like once you take weapons or take guns, then it's like, so you're putting the power to protect us in the hands of people that you said don't trust.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, now I'm confused.
And that's the thing people don't do, especially with tragedy like this. They have the knee-jerk reaction, gun control, take all guns away. But they never will take the next step of like, okay, I said that, but let's now look at the whole picture of other related issues, and let's see if my solution is gonna gel with everything else.
There's never a compromise.
Yeah, there's never a compromise, because like that your solution for whatever that problem is, it has to gel with everything else so that everything still keeps working. You know. So, no one wants to do that. It takes too much time. No one's gonna. It's not a paying gig. That's the thing.
Right.
It's someone with like the passion to look through laws, like lawyers. So like what? It's just never gonna happen, because there's never gonna be that person. No one wants to fix that issue. Everyone wants to just put a Band-Aid over it.
But do you think that even if they tried to move forward with the like ban all guns, do you think that even with the money, with the effort, with the number of people pushing for that, do you think it'd pass?
Me personally, no.
I don't think so either, because it's like you can't convince. I don't feel like you can convince the government to ban all guns, mainly because like there's white men running it.
Yep.
And that that we're back at issue 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What you just said remind me of that period of time where like all those white ranchers or whatever, they had guns and like were holding off the government, and the government didn't do shit to them, and there was never an uproar of like, oh, gun control when they had it.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. If it's because unless white people want it, it's not gonna happen in this country.
But that's the thing. So that's why I hate narratives, because the narrative, which is what they show you on the screen all the time, is that white people want it. But if you just look deeper, you can't, like, white people can't want something that the white people own, which is that industry, the whole weapon industry. They own it. It's never gonna go away. It's just we get to that point of, okay, you want something gone that you do realize also provides a lot for this country. If you take that away, now what are you going to complain about? Because now you're going back to when you start to, even this, now it's going to go into politics, when you start to blame Democrats or whatever the fuck, whoever you believe in,
Right.
and you start to blame them for these things, but then they turn around and say, but you decided you didn't want this. So now once I take it from you, now you know that's a whole stream of income that's not around anymore.
Right.
So that goes back to just knee-jerk reactions.